And the second that you kick the version of you in the nuts who always comes up with reasons as to why he can't, that's the day where you will ultimately unlock the level of health and the quality of health and the quality of life that you are truly after. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Kettlebell Guys podcast. My name is Coach Grant, and today this is going to be super short, super to the point, because I was just thinking today, I had this realization because I had an early morning training session with one of our clients who was in town in Phoenix, who came and did a workout with me. But I had this realization, and I was thinking to myself, man, I got to go onto the podcast and rant about this for a minute. And it's the thought process that the single greatest determining factor of whether you are going to achieve your health and fitness goals or you are always going to struggle is whether you always believe that you can or you always find a reason as to why you can't. That's it. You either will always find a way to make it work, whether it be your workouts, your nutrition, getting out and getting steps, getting enough sleep, whatever it may be. Or you will always default to, whenever you think about having to do one of those things, having to eat a certain way, having to get workouts in, having to be intentional about getting walking in, your brain will immediately default to, here's all the reasons as to why I can't do that. And I can't tell you the number of guys who I have talked to. I mean, I've probably done 3,000 to 4,000 one-on-one calls with guys to talk about their goals and to talk about the things that you have to do in order to reach those goals. And the initial reaction, the initial emotions that bubble up, like even when I bring up the idea of, when I talk about our training pillar to guys, I talk about you got to train 4 days a week. And one of the other things, especially if your goal is fat loss or losing weight, you have to be intentional about walking. You're going to have to, like, going forward every day, it's going to have to be something that's going to have to be, you have to think about. You're going to have to be like, okay, when can I actually go in and be intentional about how many steps I'm going to get per day, every day? And guys' initial reactions is like, oh, well, that might be hard, or that might be tough for me. And the thought process is like, yeah, of course it's tough. Like, because currently you're not doing it. Currently it's not something that's a normal part of your life. Currently it's not something that's you are intentional about. So yes, it's going to be hard, but that's not the point. The point isn't whether it's going to be hard or whether it's going to be objectively more challenging than what you're currently doing right now. The point is are you willing to be intentional about it? And are you willing to believe that, yes, if I objectively looked at every minute of my day from the second that I wake up until the second that I go to sleep, do I think that I can get a cumulative 60 minutes of walking in over the course of those 14 plus hours? And the answer for pretty much every human is yes. But it's your belief on whether you can or cannot do it, your initial emotional reaction that's going to determine, and your ability to change that is going to determine whether you are going to be successful or not. Or another example is traveling. A lot of times, guys talk about working out. It's like, okay, got it. We're working out with kettlebells, working out with body weight 4 days a week. And the idea of, okay, well, I travel a lot. Okay, no worries. Do you drive? Well, great. If you drive, the kettlebells can go in the car. And sometimes that is just a crazy idea to someone who does not work out consistently. But that's the difference between, like, thinking about, okay, can I do this or can I not do this? Are there going to be ways for me to do this or ways for me to not do this? And the thought process of putting bells in the car to bring them with you to where you would have to, wherever you travel to, you would have to intentionally, I'm going to continue to use that word intentionally. You would have to intentionally pull a mat out of your car, grab chalk, grab your kettlebells out of your car, put that mat outside somewhere, in a parking lot, in a park, in your hotel, in the hotel gym, anywhere. You have to intentionally pull those things out of your car and then do the workout, and then put them back in the car. That is a crazy idea to some people. But to others, it's like they could not imagine not doing that. I've been traveling for the last 2.5, 3 years when we've been running KT. I've traveled with a 32, 40, 48K in my car and a $25 Target mat. And so it is doable. It is normal to do that. when training and working out is a part of your everyday lifestyle. And I'll give you guys the last example of this to try to hit this home, because this was the thing that actually sparked this rant for me this morning. And we had one of our guys, Jason. Shout out to my guy, Jason. You know who you are. Inside of KT, and he was traveling to Phoenix for work. And I'm in Phoenix right now for a couple of months. And he was traveling to Phoenix, and his first thought process was, okay, I need to have access to kettlebells for the 3 days that I'm there so that I can get 2 of my scheduled workouts in. It wasn't an initial thought process of, well, I'm gone for 3 days. My hotel doesn't have probably doesn't have gyms or kettlebells. My hotel probably doesn't have kettlebells. So I guess I'm shit out of luck. That was not his initial thought process. That's some people's initial thought process, but it wasn't his. And so what he did was he reached out directly to me. He said, hey, I think I saw once that you were in Phoenix. Is that correct? And luckily I was. And he said, hey, I'm traveling there. Any chance that I could borrow bells, or I could come train with you, or I could make sure that I have access to kettlebells, because I got these 2 scheduled workouts I want to make sure I get done while I am there. And I was like, of course, 1000%, absolutely. And Jason's a morning guy. He's a morning workout guy, which is the opposite of me. I'm usually a morning work guy and work out in the afternoon, work my brain in the morning, my body in the afternoon. And he said, awesome, can we get it done on Monday morning, Tuesday morning early? And I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, I'm on Eastern time zone, so I'm up like 4:30, 5 o'clock. I was like, oh boy, yes, of course, anything for you. And what he did, and it is Tuesday today. You're probably listening to this later on, but it is Tuesday today. So today we did our second workout. We did a workout yesterday. We did a workout today. We started at 5:45 both days. We were done by 6:57 a.m. so that both of us could go to work. Now, my first call out here in Scottsdale is 7 a.m. PST, because I'm working off a central time zone. And so both of us needed to be done right at 7 a.m. And we crushed both those workouts the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. And the point of me bringing this up was that in order for him to get his workout done, he had to wake up at 4:30, 4:45. He had to call an Uber while he's here in Scottsdale, in Phoenix. He had to spend the $15 to $20 on the Uber to Uber up to my place so that he could have access to the kettlebells. It's a 15, 20-minute ride. And get here by, 5:40, 5:45, so that we could get our hour-long workout in before both of us had to start our days. And he had coworkers, he was telling me today, he had coworkers who were like, what are you doing tomorrow morning? You're getting up at what time? You gonna go work out? Isn't the hotel gym, doesn't that work? And I think the point is that you're gonna, either you believe that you can do it or you can't, or you're always gonna find a way as to why you can do it, or you won't, because there are people that were asking him, like, what are you doing? You're getting up and you're working out, like you're on a work trip, you can't wait till you get home. And for Jason, it was just like, it wasn't even a thought. It wasn't even a debate. It wasn't even something that he had to go back and forth in his own mind to wrestle with. Well, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? It was just, well, I'm going to do this. And so I'm going to reach out to Grant. I'm going to access the kettlebells. I'm going to make sure I can figure out the time. And then I'm going to spend $15 to Uber up to the bell so I can get this done. And I say all this to say is just, that is what it takes. There's this saying we say all the time on this podcast. We say it takes what it takes. But that is what it takes. And it takes this incessant, absolute, non-negotiable belief of, I'm going to get this done. This is something that I need to do. This is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to find a way to do it. And most of the time, if you don't get there, if you don't absolutely get to that place where this stuff becomes a non-negotiable for you, like you couldn't go a week or two, like if you didn't, like, it doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean you're going to work out perfectly every week for the rest of your life. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you don't get to a point where, like, your thought process of, man, if I don't find a way to get this in, I am going to be a little itchy. I am going to be a little, like, I know that I'm not going to have, I would have the absolute best day if I found bells, I got this workout in, and I made the time to do it. I know that my day is going to be so much better. I'm going to be a better man. I'm going to be a better husband. I'm going to be a better dad. Everything about my life is going to be better if I find a way to get this done. If you don't have that on a, like, non-negotiable, just absolute autopilot for your life, it's always going to be tricky to have and maintain the results that you want, always. And so I think that as you guys are listening to this and you're thinking about, okay, losing weight or getting healthy or getting strong, think about if you just know you're not exactly where you want to be, you just know there's a level of health that would unlock a better quality of life for you. You have to stare that decision directly in the mirror of, am I really ready to get to a point where this is just non-negotiable in my life, where I'm always going to find a reason as to why I can do this rather than finding reasons as to why I can't. And the second that you kick the version of you in the nuts who always comes up with reasons as to why he can't, the second that you kick that guy in the nuts and you say, listen, you're not going to be running the show anymore, that's the day, that's the decision point, that's the line drawn in the sand, the fork in the road moment where you will ultimately unlock the level of health and the quality of health and the quality of life that you are truly after. And it'll be something that you no longer second guess, you no longer question for the rest of your life. And once you get there, man, you are set. You are set. And so shout out to my guy, Jason, for training with me the last 2 days, making me a part of the morning crew, which you guys are nuts, my morning crew guys inside of KT. But man, that's the goal of what we do at KT. That's the goal of what we do from everything we do, training wise, nutrition wise, mindset wise, is to get guys to a point where this is non-negotiable. You will always find reasons as to why you can. And you will quit finding reasons as to why you can't. And that's really my goal for every guy that I ever come into contact with. So, and it's my goal for you. If you're listening to this and wherever you are in your own journey, I hope the sooner you get to that place, the better, because it'll change your life forever. All right. With that being said, I hope you guys are having a great week. I'll see you guys in the next podcast.